We have further signed a memorandum of understanding on cooperation in the areas of circular economy, bioeconomy, and climate change. This partnership will strengthen collaboration in environmental sustainability, climate resilience, resource efficiency, and green growth while supporting our shared commitment to climate action and sustainable development. In addition, we agreed to deepen cooperation in health, including universal health coverage, maternal, child, and mental health, medical research, and the local manufacture of essential medical supplies and vaccines. And I also shared Kenya's ongoing efforts under Taifa Care to ensure accessible and affordable health care for all citizens. To advance shared prosperity, we agreed to strengthen trade and investment ties and accelerate implementation of the Kenya-European Union Economic Partnership Agreement, to which Kenya and the EU are signatories. I thank His Excellency the President for facilitating engagement between our business communities and creating new opportunities for commercial cooperation, and we will be engaging with the business community in the course of this visit. I am particularly honored by the invitation to participate as a guest at the 14th Kultaranta Talks, becoming the first African head of state to do so. I look forward to contributing Africa's perspective to discussions on opportunities and challenges shaping a rapidly changing world. Allow me once again to express my very sincere appreciation to His Excellency the President and First Lady Suzanne for their warm hospitality and constructive engagements we have held during this visit. Kenya remains firmly committed to deepening its partnership with Finland and advancing a dynamic, innovative, and mutually beneficial relationship that will continue to serve the interests of the people of our two nations and the generations to come. It is an honor to undertake this state visit to Finland, following the successful state visit by President Stubb to Kenya last year. As the first head of state visit by a Kenyan president to Finland, and only the second presidential visit between our countries in nearly 4 decades. This visit marks an important milestone in our bilateral relations. Kenya and Finland have enjoyed a strong and enduring friendship since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1965. Our partnership is founded on shared values: democracy, sustainable development, peace, human dignity, and respect for the rule of law. Our engagement today reaffirms not only the strength of the relations between our two countries, but also our shared determination to build a future defined by innovation, sustainability, prosperity, and mutual progress. I thank His Excellency the President for this gracious invitation and steadfast commitment to strengthening ties between our two countries. These agreements and commitments are instruments of action that reflect our shared determination to deepen collaboration, expand opportunity, and deliver tangible benefits to our people. We are fully committed to ensuring their effective implementation. On multilateral cooperation and global development, Kenya and Finland reaffirmed our shared commitment to a rules-based international order and a fair, inclusive global financial system. I briefed President Stubb on the outcome of the Africa Forward Summit, co-hosted by Kenya and France in May, which called for reforms to sovereign credit rating systems and increased financing for green industrialization and digital infrastructure. I am encouraged that President Stubb in his reflection on the changing global order, recognizes Kenya among the emerging countries, helping to shape a more inclusive international system. This perspective reinforces our shared belief that developing nations must play a greater role in addressing global challenges and shaping global solutions. We agree that Africa must be recognized not merely as a beneficiary of global initiatives, but as an equal partner in shaping solutions to global challenges. Genuine multilateralism requires inclusive participation, equitable representation, and shared responsibility. I thank Finland for its principled support for the United Nations Security Council reform. We reiterate the need for a more representative and equitable Security Council, including fair representation for Africa in both permanent and non-permanent categories of membership. We also agreed to continue working together in support of ongoing efforts to reform the United Nations as it marks its 80th anniversary, and to strengthen its effectiveness, transparency, accountability, and capacity for conflict prevention, mediation, and peace building. In our discussion on regional and global peace and security, we exchanged views on conflicts affecting our respective regions and reaffirmed our commitment to dialogue, diplomacy, and the peaceful resolution of disputes. Kenya and Finland will continue supporting efforts to promote peace and stability in the Horn of Africa and the Great Lakes. I reaffirmed Kenya's long-standing position that dialogue and diplomacy remains the most viable pathway towards a just and lasting peace between Russia and Ukraine. President Stubb and I have held candid, constructive, and highly productive discussions aimed at deepening cooperation across a broad range of strategic sectors. Together, we reviewed the state of our bilateral relations and agreed on practical measures to strengthen collaboration, expand economic opportunity, and advance sustainable development. Finland remains an important partner for Kenya in Europe, while Kenya continues to serve as a gateway to East Africa and a strategic hub for trade, investment, innovation, and regional connectivity. We reaffirm our commitment to building a modern and mutually beneficial partnership that responds to the aspirations of the people of Kenya and the people of Finland. To give concrete expression to the outcomes of our discussions and the shared ambition of our partnership, the President and I have witnessed the signing of 3 memoranda of understanding covering education, digitalization and innovation, and environmental cooperation. These agreements reflect the growing depth and practical orientation of relationship between our two countries. To strengthen cooperation in education and skills development, we have signed a memorandum of understanding that will expand collaboration in technical and vocational training, teacher development, competence-based learning, and education innovation. Kenya will continue to draw valuable lessons from Finland's globally recognized education system as we advance our competence-based education and training.
At the bilateral level, we're strengthening our economic ties. I'm delighted that you, Mr. President, are accompanied by a business delegation focused on technology, digitalization, and sustainability. I see great potential in partnering with Kenya, the gateway to East Africa. So thank you, William, for this important visit. I'm delighted that we will continue our discussions at the Kultaranta talks off the coast of western coast of Finland at our summer residence, where the President will be my guest. I look forward to further strengthening the partnership between Finland and Kenya. Over to you. This is in many ways a historic day in the sense that the last state visit of a Kenyan president was in 1987, and the first state visit of a Finnish president in Kenya was last year. We hope that your visit to Finland will be as memorable as our visit was to Kenya. Today we see the need to really deepen our relations. Kenya is an active and influential player in promoting stability and economic development, both regionally and globally. Kenya is very much a middle power, a voice that needs to be heard around the globe, and I'm particularly happy that the President has just visited Belgium to meet with European institutions, and then Norway and Finland before he heads off to a very important G7 meeting in France. This is Kenyan impact at its best. Kenya's importance to Finland and Europe is growing in terms of trade, investment, development, and security. At the global level, we have so much to do together. We're both strong supporters of multilateralism and the rules-based international order. We both work to bring the fight against climate change more strongly to the global agenda. We also share a vision for a stronger United Nations, which is more effective and reflects the realities of the world today. That, in my mind, also must mean a stronger voice for the African continent. Kenya is a strong voice for Africa in efforts to reform and strengthen the multilateral system. I look forward to continuing this cooperation next time around, most probably in the United Nations General Assembly Week in September. In our discussions today, we've talked about Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine. We've talked about the war in Sudan and DRC. And we have talked about the wars ranging in the Middle East. For Finland, Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine remains our major concern. But every conflict around the world is now linked one to the other. And the big problem that we have is that many of the conflicts used to be local. Now they're regional, and suddenly they all have global impact. I welcome Kenya's support for the principles of the UN Charter and international law, including sovereignty and territorial integrity. You have been such a voice of reason internationally, not only in the past 4 years, but before that as well. President Ruto gave me an overview of the situation in Sudan, which is the most serious humanitarian crisis of our time. I commend Kenya's active role in mediation and conflict resolution. We recognize the global impacts of war, including on food security, energy prices, developing economies, which of course underlines the importance of cooperation between Europe and Africa.